in praise of the creative spirit in a world gone mad with commerce. And it's a pretty slim collection of essays, but it's taken 30 years to write. In fact, the first essay was written about a little more than 30 years ago, actually. 30, say. I was, at the time, dean at Otis Art Institute. I had just been appointed dean. Actually, the day that I was appointed dean was the day the supervisors voted to cut off all funds from the school. Welcome to academic administration. And the curious thing was that as dean, I was noticing how my faculty at the time were teaching the students that they all needed to be professionals. And I knew, and the faculty knew, and I think the students knew somewhere in the back of their minds, that perhaps of 100 students, maybe 5 or 6 were going to go out and be professional artists. Not in the sense that they were not going to be serious about themselves, because I could understand professional certainly means being serious about yourself and being dedicated to what you do. But the word professional for me had the connotation of someone going out and earning a living, making a career, and so on. And I thought that it was disingenuous, in fact, rather perhaps even outright dishonest, to be telling students that they needed to learn to be professional. So I wrote this essay called A Word for the Amateur. And in that essay, I tried to reinstate the values around the word amateur, because it's become so debased. As you know, it means a Sunday painter, a dauber, a no good kind of third-rate artist. But the real meaning of the word amateur, the passionate person who devotes their life to something, is such an honorable tradition. And when you think of it, all the great scientists and thinkers and writers, for the most part, in the Western tradition, people like Guy de Montaigne or Isaac Newton, Charles Darwin, you know, they didn't start out thinking themselves, I'm going to be a professional scientist or a professional philosopher. They did what they did because they were passionate about it. And what I wanted to do with that essay was to remind not only the students, but people, remind myself, that to be an artist in the cultural climate which has been evolving since the late 20th century is to need some definition of success that works for you, which is other than the traditional definition, which involves, you know, for an artist, you graduate from art school, you go out, get my studio, and you paint for a couple of years, and then the dealers start coming in and saying, this is great work, I can give you a show, and then you get your show, and then people come in and buy the work, and collectors come in and buy it, and the critics write nice things about it, and then the curators come in and put the work in the museum. This is the traditional professional path, as it were, the vertical path of the artist. And so what I wanted to do was to propose, not only for artists, but also for myself, because I write a lot about myself, a way of thinking about being a writer which did not involve those things that in our culture have come to notify success, which are celebrity and money. You know, as a writer, I see the John Grishams of this world, even the Sarah Palins of this world, rushing to the top of the bestseller list, and it pisses me off. So, in order to live my life as a writer, I need to think of myself in a different kind of a way. And I need to think of what I can do in a different kind of a way. Fortunately, the internet came along, which made it possible for me to publish something every single day of my life and get readers throughout the world. by writing my blog. I read a blog called The Buddha Diaries, which is published almost every day. And then after the publication of Persist, I started a new blog called Persist the Blog. And I'm writing these every day. And the wonderful thing about these is that finally I'm able to communicate in a way that I think writing is all about. That's what it's about. It's conveying who I am as a human being to other human beings and hearing back from them. So this is a wonderful thing. And subsequent to Persist, the other thing that I've discovered, do I start now? The other thing that I've discovered is that there's a whole other medium that I can work in. And that is the medium that I'm using right now, speaking. You know, before the publication of Persist, at the beginning of this year, I was always dreadfully shy about speaking in public. I was terrified. And what I discovered with the publication of Persist is that I so much believe in the ideas and so much believe in what this book is all about. That is, learning to survive in a cultural environment which is mostly about money and celebrity. I so much believe in this, and it's so much about myself and who I am as a writer and my career as a writer. Even though I've been moderately successful, there are still the John Grishams, there are still the Sarah Palins. That I was able to start talking about, to start using this medium as another way in which to communicate from heart to heart, from human being to human being. This has been, I have to say, I was just saying to my colleagues here, this has been the best year of my professional life. And to be able to say that at my age is such an extraordinary privilege and such a wonderful thing. So I'm inordinately grateful to be a writer, finally at this point in my life, after many years in academia, finally to have quit that world and to have been for the past 20 years the writer that I always dreamed that I would be. Thanks so much for listening.
Well, that was wonderful, and I think that you sort of start off the discussion here talking about the opportunities that really we have for new kinds of interaction with audiences and new forms of communication. Danielle, I'd love to hear your thoughts and experiences as well.
Thank you, and thank you.